Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our UTS online class. I am Sheila S. Bajang, a faculty member from the Department of Psychology. In this session, we will be exploring again how the self develops according to the concept of Carl Rogers. Before we will proceed to our lesson proper, let me start by asking you some questions. First, what is the extent of your awareness of who you are as a person? Second, what is your ideal self? Third, what are your real experiences? These are only some key questions leading to our discussions.
Carl Rogers believed that people are driven by an innate tendency to actualize, maintain, and enhance the self. To self actualize is to fulfill one's potential and achieve the highest level of our human beingness. It should also be noted that the drive towards self actualization is part of a larger actualization tendency. Now, what is actualization tendency? Actualization tendency is the basic human motivation to actualize, maintain, and enhance the self, which encompasses all physiological and psychological needs. Thus, the actualization tendency serves to maintain the individual's sustenance and survival. All of the individual experiences, either programmed into genetic makeup or acquired, are all brought to fruition by the actualizing tendency. Thus, the progress and advancement toward full human growth and development are neither automatic nor effortless. And so, to achieve its fullest potential and the highest level of human beingness, the self usually encounters struggles and pains. And if so, how do we go over our life experiences which challenge our human beingness? The answer is through the organismic valuing process. The organismic valuing process is a natural instinct directing us toward the most fulfilling pursuits. Furthermore, it is a process by which you judge experiences in terms of their value for fostering or hindering your actualization and growth. It is also through this process that you evaluate all life experiences. Through the organismic valuing process, all experiences which are perceived as hindering and dissuading the actualization will be labeled as a negative value. In contrast, experiences perceived as promoting actualization will be labeled as a positive value. Hence, all unwanted situations which do not promote the actualization will be disregarded, while the desirable one will be embraced. The individual's experiential world is also important in understanding the development of the self concept. Experiential world is where you operate daily, which provides you a frame of reference or context that influences your growth and behavior. For example, the person avoids all undesirable experiences and repeats desirable experiences that are greatly influenced based on the experiential world or the subjective world. The process by which the persons perceive it subjectively is phenomenology. It argues that the only reality of which can be sure is the person's subjective world of experience. Rogers also upheld that each individual exists in the center of phenomenal field. It is the total sum of experiences. It comprises of everything that is potentially available to consciousness at any given time. Giving attention to any experience, the person becomes conscious of it. Again, phenomenological field or yourself is your subjective reality. All that you are aware of, including objects, people, thoughts, images, and behaviors. In psychology, phenomenology has to mean the study of human awareness and perception. advocates of this school of thought emphasize that what is vital is not the object or the event, but how it is being observed and understood by the individual. Rogers also wrote, "Experience is for me the highest authority. The touchstone of validity is my own experience. Experiences, therefore, become the only basis for your judgments and behaviors." Experiential world enlarges since it is stirred up and agitated by the actualizing tendency. It also develops a multifaceted experiential field as your social encounters grow. As this process continues, the possibility would be one or some part of your experiences become differentiated from others. This differentiated part, defined by the words I, me, and myself, is the self or self concept. The emerged self concept is a portion of the phenomenological field because its development is a result of the individual's own valuing of its experiences, and some of which have been introjected from the significant people. Since the self evolved in part through other people, dissociation is also possible. Dissociation means being disconnected to one's true self. And when this happens, the actualizing tendency may deviate into behaviors that do not lead to actualization. The self concept then is an object of perception. The self that one forms may be at variance with the real experiences of the individual because it includes values that are taken over from other people rather than the actual experiences of the individual. According to Servone and Pervin, Rogers had made an emphasis to that individuals who can integrate their experiences into their self structure are healthy individuals. Further, they expounded that individuals are open to experiences, a congruence between self and experience, and in contrast, the neurotic ones do not fit organismic experience. They are in a position to deny awareness of significant sensory and emotional experiences. Now, here are some important components of the self concept based on Carl Rogers' humanistic approach. The first is the self worth or self esteem. This encompasses what and how you think about yourself. The feelings of self worth usually developed and shaped from your interaction with your parents and other significant people during your early childhood. This is all about how you value yourself. The second one is the self image or the real self. This includes the influence of your innate body image. How you see yourself is very crucial toward your good psychological health. Say, for example, you can perceive yourself as beautiful or ugly, intelligent or dull person. Hence, your self perception will affect the way you feel, think, and act in the world. According to Rogers, the real self is initiated by the actualizing tendency, follows organismic valuing, needs, and receives positive regard and self regard. If everything goes well for you, then you will become successful. The real self also feels most true to what and who you are, though may not be impeccable or perfect, but it is the part that feels most real to you. The third one is the ideal self. This is the person you like to become. It briefly represents your strivings to achieve your goals or ideals. Ideal self may not be consistent during the childhood stage to your current stage and to succeeding stages in life. This further suggests that this is a continuing strong ambition which alters from time to time. What is the implication if there is a wide gap between the ideal self, and other components of the self concept. Whenever there is a wide gap between the ideal self and other components of the self, it is a signpost of incongruence and unhealthy personality. In this sense, there is a mismatch of your real self from the ideal self. Rogers suggested that there are some things situated beyond your reachable that might result from the gap itself between the real self and the ideal self. That is, the self is born out of influences outside of you. The ideal self, on the other hand, develops over time. It is based from what you have learned from your experiences. The ideal self could include components of what your parents have taught you, what you admire in others, what your society promotes, and what you think is in your best interest. Sometimes you experience pressures from the diverse actualizing tendency of the people around you. And if you are forced to live with the conditions of worth beyond your organismic valuing and received only the conditional positive regard and self regard, then you begin to develop ideal self instead. Here are some figures to give you further illustrations. You can see that this side there is a more overlap and self-actualization will be easy, while the other side there is only a little overlap and self-actualization will be difficult. When the self detaches from its value and self-worth, incongruence develops. The bigger the discrepancy between the real self and ideal self, the more we are distant to what is reality and the chances of denying one's real experiences. Thus, it is important that one should be fully aware of its real experiences instead of distorting and denying reality issues.
I hope you have learned something from this session. Now, I want you to take a review first of this lesson before you proceed to your next activity. Bye, and see you next session.